Hi, this is Megan Poff and I'm the Field Office Chief in Henderson, Nevada. I will be presenting a primer on rating development using GRSAT. The intent of this primer is to show a lot more of the rating development and analysis tools, including working with the site visit pane and other tools in the Zoom pane. Other than working with multiple offsets by the end of this primer, you should know most of what you need to know to develop basic ratings in GRSAT. Alright, so we're going to load the rating development primer. I'm going to hit open here. And now typically you would hit from database, but for this exercise we're going to be starting from a file that's already been created. From file, there's my primer, open, and read data. And here's all my data. Now what are you noticing right off the bat with this data? It's about the offset. Offset should be greater, right? See how the data are on the screen are showing kind of a bowl shape? We need more offset in this case. Well, to even have more offset, we need to actually set up a rating in GRSAT first. Notice over here where my mouse is, it says number 0000W. That means that we don't have a rating set up here yet, so let's set up the rating. I'm going to go to Setup and Rating. It brings up the rating setup box. Now some of this stuff here at the top, it tells you the data descriptor, the type of rating code you're making, that's stage Q, which is correct for any kind of stage discharge rating. We're going to leave it as logarithmic, that's the type of expansion we would like. Rating number, I'm going to give it a nice rating number of 1.0. Now for those of you that know me know I love remarks, so I'm going to put a rather flippant remark in here. Now obviously you would want to put a better remark in, something that is more descriptive of why you're making this rating in the first place, but just for purposes of demonstration we'll start with this. Hit apply, and now we have rating 1.0 W, the W is for working, and also up here it says rating 1.0. Okay, first thing we need to do in developing our rating is to select a group of measurements that we would actually like to use with the rating. So I'm going to drag my site visit data pane out so I can actually see what I'm doing with it. And I'm going to expand this guy. Now you can sort all of your measurements by each of these columns in GRSAT. They're already automatically sorted by the date and measurement ID. I'm going to sort these guys by control condition. That's this button right here, control condition. And I'm going to get rid of any measurement that was made with some sort of backwater effect. So that would be algae, debris of some sort. So a couple of different ways you can deselect measurements. You can either do them individually. Click, 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 click. And you'll notice as I'm doing this over here, it's graying out those measurements I am deselecting. Click, click, click. Well, that's fun and all, but you will notice that that would get rather time-consuming if you have to do a lot of measurements. I'm going to scroll down, see these are all clear control condition measurements. Scroll down, what do we have here? Here's some light debris. So rather than clicking out these individual measurements, I'm going to click and drag down, highlighting all of the light debris and unspecified measurements. And I'm going to hit this nice X up here. Now, did you guys notice when I hovered my mouse over the X, this little dialog that said unselect measurement points came up? That is a very useful thing in GRSAT. If you ever forget what you're doing, forget where you are, forget what a button does, just hover your mouse. Alrighty, so I'm going to unselect those measurements that I just highlighted. Gone. Nice. So by now you've noticed that all of these measurements down here have different colors associated with them. There's some blue and some green and some pink and some gray ones. What does that mean? Basically what GRSAT is doing is it is giving each measurement a color classification. The default is by quality. And how do I know that? I'm going to go click on this button up here and it says, okay, your classification is based on quality. Nice. Okay, so any excellent measurements are yellow. Anything good is green. Fair is blue, poor is pink, and if there was no quality specified in the field, then it's red. There are other preset classifications I could choose if I wanted. For example, control condition. So anything with ice, for example, we could really easily see and get rid of. Same with debris. We could also classify based on the difference from the rating, the percent difference from the rating. And this T differ thing, that actually means true difference, and that is the difference with any shifts applied for each measurement. You could even do a comparison between quality and true difference. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to put this back on quality for our exercise here and say OK. So while we're talking about classifying measurements and colorizing some of our measurements, say I had some recent measurements that I really wanted to show on my new rating. Let's do a quick demo. I can actually color these measurements a different color. So I'm going to sort the measurements based on date. See, if I click up with the date there, you get this little triangle. We have them sorted by date. And I'm really most interested in the measurements that are made in 2004. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight these guys. See how all the 04 measurements are highlighted? Now I'm going to go up to the color wheel here. This is for customizing colors. So I'm going to make myself a nice custom color. You can click anywhere in this area, or you can choose one of their preset basic colors like periwinkle. That's a nice one. You can already see that I've predefined sort of this aquamarine color down here, but I'll define another one for this exercise. Let's see, how about kind of a nice gray green, something like that? Anywhere you click in here, you can keep redefining your color if you want. You can also type in the hue, saturation, red, green, blue area. So I'm going to pretend I like this color, add to custom colors. My color's changed. I'm going to click on that color and say OK. It's now colorized these particular grouping of measurements as this kind of gray-green. So if I wanted to make a rating just based on those measurements, I could do that. I'm going to reset this though. Back up here, classification based on quality. I hit reset, it changes everything back, and now we're back to everything being color-coded based on quality only. I'd like to show you guys a couple of other ways for unselecting and selecting measurements that you would like to use or not in your rating. So first thing I'm going to do before I get into that, we need to put the site visit data pane back into GRSAT windows here so we can actually see what we're doing down on our Rating Zoom 1 plot here. My favorite way to do this is just to go up here to View and click Default Rating Shift Layout. This is like your home screen. This is your back button. Anytime you get rid of too many windows or forget where you are, you can always get back to the beginning by just going up to View, Default Rating Shift Layout. So now I've clicked that. Site visit data is now docked where it belongs. Super. So I'm going to take a look down here at Rating Zoom 1, and we have some outliers. This guy here, for example. Now, did you notice when I hover my mouse over the measurement here, I have a little pointer finger? If I right-click on that, it's going to tell me some measurement details. Very nice. I can also left-click on that, and it'll take me to that measurement here in the Site Visit Data pane. Cool. So I'm going to get rid of it graphically. I could just uncheck it at this point, but I'll show you the graphic way instead. Again, hover over any of these buttons and it'll tell you what it's for. We're going to click on this guy, which is Unselect Measurement Points, and I'm simply going to draw a box around the measurement I want to get rid of. And it's gone. Did you notice here how the window also stayed in sync? It unselected your measurement for you. Super. Just to show you how you'd select a measurement point, say I accidentally didn't want to have that unselected, you go here to Select Measurement Points, draw a box, bam, it's back. But I'm going to get rid of that again because we don't really want to use it to define our rating. You can also define measurements that you'd like to use using the Time Series view. So if you go down here to Time Series View tab, we're going to get rid of all of the old measurements. I'm going to click on Unselect Measurement Points, and I'm going to draw a big box around everything made prior to about the year 2000. It takes a sec because there's a bunch of measurements in there, but check it out, they're all gone. Alright, so by now you guys are probably wondering, yeah, this is great and everything, I've unselected it, but it's still showing up. I can't see what I'm doing. You can actually make GRSAT not display your unselected measurements, and that is this button up here. It says Show Hide Unselected Measurements. If you click that, gone. We are almost ready to make our new rating. The last thing I want to do before I actually start putting rating points on this thing is I want to deselect all the measurements below 1.6. There's only one left. Let's check it out. I'm going to sort by recorded values, which is my gauge height. You can see that there's one measurement that is selected that is below 1.6, and the reason that's selected is because we had deselected everything made before the year 2000. This one was made in 2002. So I'm going to turn him off. Gone. All right, it's offset time. Offset Manager is the tab you're going to want to click here. And you'll notice here when you first pull up your Offset Manager, we're plotting to a single plotting offset of Other. You don't want to plot to Other when you start putting in your offset. I'm going to click on Offset 1. It's going to automatically default to 0. It doesn't know what the offset is. That's what we have to find out. And now I'm going to click on the single plotting offset of Offset 1. Now, one thing I have turned on here that will be really useful in some circumstances and a little bit annoying in others, if I go up into Setup, Automatic Rating Scale is turned on. I'm going to leave that turned on for this part of the exercise. Alright, now we need to find some offset that will make these data appear to be mostly straight. You can click on the down and up arrows here, or you can even type in this box if you want. Say you had a GZF, you could type in your GZF as a first cut at your offset. I don't know what the GZF is here, so I'm just going to graphically click, 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 and watch the graph down here as it becomes straighter and straighter. 1.2, that looks pretty good. 1.3, that looks pretty good as well. 1.4, maybe that's bowing up a little bit. I'm going to try 1.5, 6, 7. This is definitely too much offset. I'm going to take it back to 1.3. 1.3 I think I like the best. Let me clear this out and show you guys something. Did you see how I just typed in there 0.00 and on went back? I'm going to turn off that automatic rating scale that I told you about here in Setup. Check it out, see it's off now. Now I'm going to start iterating the offset. See how I'm like losing measurements? This is kind of annoying. You could go here to auto scale every time you iterated the offset. Auto scale. Or for this part, you can just have automatic rating scale set. Did you guys see how I turned that back on? Just set up automatic rating scale. Alright, so I'm going to go back to that 1.30, which I really liked. Let's make a first cut at the rating. Down here in the Rating Zoom 1 pane, there's a whole bunch of tools for making rating points. I'm going to use Add Rating Point, and this is my absolute favorite way to make a first cut at a new rating at a site. Click on a point. You get this little point with an arrow and a plus. I'm going to click here below my lowest measurement, and then I'm going to go up here and click just above my highest measurement. Did you guys see? Now suddenly we have a shift diagram that popped up. Now I'm going to start moving those rating points around to see if I can get a nice scatter of the measurements around the zero shift point. This guy, this little curve with a green arrow, that's your Move Rating Point tool. I'm going to click on that and see how you can just graphically drag around your rating point. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. We have a pretty decent scatter around the 0. Not too bad for just using 2 points, right? There are other ways to come up with a first cut at a rating. Let's blow up what we have now. I'm going to select this guy here, which is Delete Rating Points. See how I now have a plus with an X and a bunch of points down on the Rating Zoom 1 screen? I'm going to draw a box around all of that. My rating is gone. The shift diagram has now basically disappeared because there's no rating in there. Now we can use a regression to come up with a first cut rating as well. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into Initial Descriptor Point Spacing. Click on this. We have a couple of options here. Uniform steps in log, uniform steps in linear. We're making a rating on logarithmic space, so we're going to leave that at the default. I'm going to move my descriptor point spacing down to 5 points. We don't have that much of a range and stage to go off of here. And with the initial guess methods, you have regression or section control. We'll leave it as the default regression. Section control is outside the scope of this class. And click OK. Now, we'll make our first cut rating using the curve fitting tool. Go ahead and click on curve fitting. And I'm going to just draw a box around all of my measurements. And it came up with a rating for me. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points like I just specified. That doesn't look too bad. And once again, we have a shift diagram. Now, I do want to emphasize that using this curve fitting option is not the best way. Remember, rating development is not a statistical procedure. This is part of the art of stream gauging. I usually prefer to delete this thing, add points, move them around as we see fit, as we need, and make a rating starting with something like this. But I did want to tell you the other options that you have. You can evaluate this rating with more than just the shift diagram. For example, up here in site visit data, let me sort all of these measurements by status, which means that I just selected everything that has a check button box next to it. And now I can see my percent differences. R error is the percent difference off the rating. And as I move my points around, you can see that change. Okay, so I really like this rating that I just came up with, and I want to evaluate it based on the expanded rating table. Where's that? We actually have the ability to pull an expanded rating table straight out of Aquarius and GRSAT by clicking on this button up here, which is the Expanded Rating Table Setup button. You can either pull the base rating, or you can pull from a shift. I'm going to pull just the base rating. Independent precision of 0.01, dependent significant digits of 3. There's my name. I'll just leave it as that. And I'm going to click OK. Rating table, just like you would get out of ADAPS. So we can look at the difference in Q per 0.1 units, anything. Now, this thing should be identical to what you would pull out of ADAPS. There will occasionally be very small rounding differences, but they're pretty rare. For the most part, this and ADAPS, same thing. I'm going to get rid of this table. And last thing we're going to do here, let's check the rating slope using our slope computation tool down here in Rating Zoom 1. I'm going to click this tool, highlight, and it gives me this error, cannot compute dependent variables in the selected segment of the rating curve. I think I selected too much. Try it again. Cool. It gave me a slope less than 2, which says, hey, we're in channel control right now. Now, obviously, if I were actually the hydrographer on site, I would see if that's correct or not. I don't know. This is not my site. But this is just kind of a little statistical check to help you. Okay, we need to put some dates on our rating. What are we going to do? Now, I want to tell you about one caveat. There is a quirk in the current structure of GRSAT that was discovered a little too late to change. You can't create a new rating from just measurements and give it dates in the same GRSAT session. What we would need to do is go up and save this thing first, bring it back into GRSAT in a new session to apply dates. This is because the middleware did not know what type of rating we were making when we pulled the data. Remember, we needed to set the rating type in GRSAT, so it did not know what current rating dates to pass on to GRSAT. This quirk only exists when we're developing a rating from measurements only. That's when you selected a rating of none in the middleware. Whenever you actually bring a rating into GRSAT, it gets all the rating dates for the type of rating, so you can do everything in one session. For example, you could bring rating 1.0 into GRSAT, create rating 2.0, and give it rating dates all in one session. For now, I'll just show you what the rating period manager looks like. We can't really do anything here, but all you do is double click, check rating period, give it a start date and time. I'm going to hit cancel for now because, like I said, we just created a rating from measurements only. We can't do it right now right here. Okay, so that concludes our demonstration of how to make a first cut simple rating using data in GRSAT.